Hi, it's sparxUK here again. Another exciting package from Barry, sparxUK. So he sent me a number of things here. I've got a PCB there to build. Is that Spitfire? Yeah, Spitfire 500 Rev 1B. So that will be a future video. We've got what looks like to be the ROM there, and yeah, and I think that's a connector, isn't it? Maybe two connectors, I don't know. So yeah, that'll be another video. A500 single power. So right, okay, so you can put presumably like 12 volts in on a DC barrel jack, and then you have like a little switching PWM IC that generates the 5 and the 12 and maybe the minus 12. I've also got this from Barry as well. It's incredible, these PCBs. I'm not sure which one this is now. This is a 68030 TK2, is it, I think? Another one of the ones from Matthias Heinrichs, is it? Yeah, so he's got the sockets there, that's cool, but again I need CPLD, some RAM, some 74 series and stuff, and a ROM probably. So that will be another video. So the thing we're going to be looking at in this video is this. And this is a scan doubler slash RTG. I think it's primarily RTG actually, so retargetable graphics. And you can see it's got two different types of connector. You've got the one for the 500 here, so this will slide into the side of a 500 if you solder that on. But if you don't solder that on, and that's how I'm going to do it, I'm going to fit it like that, this will go into a 2000. And that's where I would prefer to fit this, in a 2000. In my box one probably, so it'll provide retargetable graphics. Now I mentioned in the HDMI Amiga video recently a little bit about that. So basically you've got some RAM on here. That RAM will be memory mapped into the Amiga's address space. The Amiga communicates with this board, using I/O, and sends commands, and the GPU that's going to be on here, you can see one of them here, it's Cirrus Logic, I think, designed for PC architecture actually, PC graphics cards. Yeah, that GPU on there will be throwing all the graphics around. Yeah, the Amiga can obviously interact with some of the RAM on here, or maybe all the RAM on here, but so you could load some sprite data in, some textures, images, etc. And then this GPU can do all the legwork, doing all the throwing around, scaling, rotating, whatever else your graphical engine needs to do. So that is really, really cool. It's amazing that he's gone to the trouble of getting all this as a kit for me. So you can see this is what he sent the first time, and that chip's not correct, I think. He tried that one, and it wouldn't work. It's a 6436, and I think we needed a 6434. So he's subsequently then managed to get some of those, and sent me one of those. So yeah, we won't be using that one, but we've got the RAM there. We've got what I think is probably a CPLD to go down here. I'm assuming it's another Xilinx chip. I don't see a JTAG header anywhere on that, so I'm not sure how you program that actually. Yeah, I need to have a look at that. I don't see a pin header anywhere for that. And then you've got this connector here, which provides the video output connectors. So you've got, VGA, and a smaller connector there, a slightly larger one there, and those are going to join up to these. So I'll need to create some cables there to join those up. But he has sent me the connectors here, so I can crimp those. I just need some ribbon. So what else have we got on here? That looks like a crystal, perhaps, and then tons and tons of SMD resistors, caps. Maybe diodes, yeah, some diodes there, look. Some pin headers. Yeah, very cool. So I think I've got everything to go there. There'll be a link down below to the GitHub link for this. There's another one of Matthias Heinrichs' projects, I think. Yeah, so that looks really cool. So I think without further ado, I will get on and solder something on. So I think I'm going to go with the larger things first. I'm going to get that on, I think, and that. But before I get that on, I need to work out what it is and how we program it. So I spent a minute looking at the board there going, how do you JTAG program it? I don't see anywhere to do it. And then I realised these jumpers here, they're not through-hole jumpers, look. They're surface-mounted jumpers. Look at that. Once he worked out that the 5436 was the wrong chip, he, as I say, found some of these, 5434. So very kindly provided me this free of charge, which is just amazing. I think he felt he owed me for some of the things I'd sent him in the past, but he doesn't. I feel like I owe him now. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm going to start with this. You may think do that last, but I want to get that on, and then the small stuff I can then do, after that. You can see pin 1 is down there, that little circle, pin 1. So yeah, I need to get that aligned under magnification, anchor a couple of points, and then I'll show you putting some flux around it and have a bit of a drag around it. I'll use the Antex for that actually. Let's go and get the Antex out. So if you want to build one of these yourself, and you get all the parts, which are fairly readily available, apart from CP holders that get a bit short in stock, but you can get them from China. I'd recommend buying more than one if you do that, just in case you get a bad one or two. These chips, if you can't find them, just look for old PC graphics cards. You could take one off an old graphics card, but do check that it's the same code there, CL, Cirrus Logic GD5434-J-QC-F. So I mean, it's a quad flat pack. The subcode on the end may change a little bit, as long as you get the right package there, quad flat pack, and it's a CL GD5434, it should be okay. God, those pins are so blooming small. I think this is harder than some of the terrible fire things I've done actually. Now there is solder on these pins, you could just heat with hot air and try and get it into position that way, but anyway. Yeah, this is going to be a nightmare to get this on. It really is going to be a nightmare. I'd prefer if those pins were not solder coated, if I'm honest. Now I could just get some flux and desolder braid and have a drag around it. It's like the smallest little touch and it becomes misaligned. Wow, this is going to be a mare. How do we go? There we go. Right, absolutely spot on aligned. I've now got to not breathe, be super careful near it. Just put the magnifier down gently, hope that doesn't block the shot. So I'll start with one of the sides you can see there. I'll do this one up here. So I'm going to touch the pad, not the pin, and flow a load of solder. Right, I think that's on. Just going to carefully move it up here. You're not going to be able to see the side as well, but just do the same thing. Touch the pad, not the pin. Flow. There we go. Got a big blob of solder there. I'm just going to press it and reflow. And I come back up here. Just press it and reflow. 2 pins soldered there, and then just inspect around it. Yeah, you see this side's not aligned now. This is the blooming problem with this. Yeah, so this side here that you can't see, the pins are, let's have a look. Yeah, the pins are too high up. They need to go down a tiny little bit. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that now is to heat these here and just touch it a little bit. They're a bit straighter, and the other side looks okay, but you see the bottom's not now. Now the bottom's off. Yeah, maybe that was an optical illusion, because I just heated this side again and moved it back exactly where it was, and now everything is perfectly lined up. And this is the thing, if you look at it from an angle, things can look misaligned. You've got to look at it straight down and from the side a little bit and see if the pins are in a perfectly straight line with the pads, and they are now on all 4 sides. So yeah, I think I was panicking a bit about nothing there. So we just need to get some flux around that, and yeah, again we're using the flux that came from Barry, sparxUK, ages ago, but we are down to the last little bit here. So there might, if I'm lucky, there might be just enough to complete the build of this. So I'm just going to go right down here, being careful not to touch the actual pins of the chip and move them. I'm using it quite sparingly because I do want to try and complete this build if I can with that flux I've got left. Yeah, there should be just enough there, I think. I'll try and show you one side here, but I need to use magnification and I can't do that at the same time as filming. So you can see I've got a huge blob of solder there. Just move the solder from the tip, and we'll just bob in, slide along. I'm just getting a huge blob there, look, dragged all the way along. Yeah, loads of pins bridged there. So yeah, this is going to be really fiddly to do, and I do need to use magnification because I can't see. So I'll report back in a sec. Yeah, so I might be able to show you on the next side maybe on macro this way, but you can see that's first side there, it's nice and tidy. And all I did is off camera just a little bit more flux and drag the iron around from one side to the other, and all the solder accumulated up here on about 7 or 8 pins. Use a bit of braid, just absorb that bit. then drag across here, and as you drag you can see like a wave follow the iron. Yeah, pins will go glossy as you're doing it, so you can see they're all heating up, and it just distributes the extra bit of solder down this side here. So I didn't need to add any more, and it looks pretty good. So I just need to do the other three sides. Right, so trying to do this on macro, believe it or not. If we just bob in here, just in a few places, and then just have a slow drag across like that. If we get any bridges, it's not a problem. Just going to stop, so you can see we've got a bit of a blob of solder there. Yeah, I'll just stop periodically to see how much solder's left, but actually that's alright. So yeah, you can see for one pass that's not too bad, but I will just do that again under magnification to make sure I don't have any bridges. I zoomed you in a bit there. You still can't see the blooming thing, it's that small. And what I'm going to do is just add a tiny bit of solder there. See, I've got that crooked. So now what I would do, under magnification, and I can't do it this way, just heat that one pin and slide it a bit. You could of course just use hot air, and you could use some hot air, that's not too bad. You could use some hot air afterwards to just reheat it, and it'll sort of pull itself back into position. But you can see I've got a pin soldered on there. So yeah, it's just a case of adding some flux around it and just drag around the blooming thing. So I've been flying around some of the resistors and caps and things. You can see here there's a number of smaller components on. We've got the resistor arrays on, caps here, caps everywhere really. There's still some more caps left, and there's quite a lot of resistors left here, and well, you can see lots of pads empty. The 10 ohms here are a bit bigger than the footprints. I actually decided to put solder on the pads for these three here, and then use hot air and just let the hot air suck it into position on top, so they're totally on top of the pads. IC8 here, pin 1 is in the left of the IC. There's nothing on the board to indicate where pin 1 is. I've just checked with sparxUK, I think he had the same problem. I'm not sure how he worked that out. I'll ask him actually. He may have looked at the schematics or something. But anyway, it goes with pin 1 nearest to the cirrus, so it is that way up. So again, it's one of these where there is solder on the pads here, but they're not on all these. They just seem to be on specific places there is solder. So there's solder there isn't solder on these cap or resistor positions. There's a little bit there. So I think I might just I don't know, use hot air to just get that in position and then just reflow it. That's probably the easiest thing to do. Because I did have that problem a minute ago with the resistors. If I'm honest, they were blowing all over the blown place, even with a low airflow. But yeah, I figure this will just help it hopefully join to the board. We'll just see if that stays in position. Oh, and it has done. So I'll just add some flux and a bit of solder and reflow it. So I'm just about to get the CPLD on. I think one of the connectors here is dual purpose JTAG and video out or something, I don't know, because Sparx was saying, and Live 2, just get the jumpers on at the end, you can program it up. So I don't think there's anything here to clash, but I thought I'd fit it before I fit that. I mean, I've got one cap up there. Anyway, let's just bob in and just drag slowly down here. I need some more solder there actually. I don't actually think I got any solder on any of those pins then. And of course now the opposite hand. Lots of bridges. Yeah, I'll clean those pads in a minute. Just get the solder off the tip and bob back in there again, solder off the tip. There we go, solder off the tip, and then just do drag that way. Oop. Trying to get on the actual pins there. Right, even though I can't see that, that looks pretty good to me. I'll get rid of those. I'll get rid of that solder off there after I've done this side. I don't know why, but that was really painful to solder. It felt harder to do than the GPU there. But yeah, I think I've got good solder points. It's one of those where the chip, I don't know whether the chip had just got a bit banged at some point and it's passed. but it was like aligned really well on 3 sides, but one, yeah, it's on the pads, but just a little bit to one side, whereas the other 3 were perfect. And no matter how you align it, unless you start bending the pins there, you know, it was proving very difficult to get that absolutely straight on all 4. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to completely clean that yet because it's going to go in the ultrasonic after. I just want to get the flux from around there so that it's not super sticky. So the next fun bit are these chips here. You've got the F symbol there. Is that Fairchild or Fujitsu? I don't know. I'll stick the part number up top left. So yeah, we've got 4 of those. I assume that's going to be 2 megabytes. I think this is going to be 512k each. So this is going to you obviously fit into a Zorro 2 slot, or you could fit the A500 adapter there, stick into the side of your A500 and have this as your one Zorro device on your 500. But yeah, these are going to be, I think, 512k. 4 of them is going to give you 2 meg, so it's going to punch a 2 meg hole into your 8 meg of 24-bit Zorro 2 RAM. So that's something to consider if you've got a machine where you've not got Zorro 3, you know, in Zorro 3 RAM, you've only got 8 meg to use there. So this is going to use 2 of it, which means you can only have 6 meg of RAM there. Then I assume it works that way, and it's not going to be like an IO device and overlap and still give you 8 meg of RAM. I think that this will be, you know, classed as, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. Use the Heiko with this, with its fine tip here, and just, you know, come in with the solder and just add a tiny bit, well, quite a lot of solder onto a pin there, get it to bite, and rotate it around, make sure it's still straight, and do the same with the opposite corner and get some flux and just have a go at the other pins. I'm not going to try and drag solder this one, I think. I might do. I might use the Antex and do a bit of drag solder, and I'll show you that in a minute. But you have to inspect to make sure you have the little arc, you know, right from the pad right up the pin, a little curved piece of solder, because it's really easy to get these where it looks like there's enough solder and it looks like the pin's joined up, but it actually isn't. Anyway, I'll report back in a minute. So I'll just get some solder on the tip here and do this in a few passes, I think. It's pretty easy to do these, actually. What's nice about this board is the pad spacing is a bit larger, you know, the pads are a bit bigger. Some of these SOJs or SOBs that I've done in the past, the pads have been right underneath the pin, you can't really get onto it, but if we just drag slowly across here like this, see, it starts to flow. Probably run out of solder around there. Yeah. Let's get some more. Pick up roughly where we left off. Yeah, so you can see that's not too bad actually. Yeah, I need to inspect to make sure those are all joined, but yeah, you get the idea. Right, SOJ/SOB RAM chips installed. So yeah, I'm going to clean up and I can inspect a little bit easier. It wasn't too bad though, actually. It did take me about 15-20 minutes, but surprisingly I didn't bridge to those resistors there. So despite the fact I will clean this in ultrasonic later, I am going to toothbrush actually. Strangely, I do always enjoy the clean-up work, so if I have to clean it a few times, that's not really a big problem for me. I enjoy that, even though it is a bit time-consuming. It's like the hottest day of the year here today as well, so it's like, I don't want this flux sticking to me while I'm so blooming hot. I might sound like a crazy thing, but I'm hot and sticky enough as it is without the blooming flux. Yeah, that is looking so much better, but obviously there's a lot of IPA underneath and in between things still here. But at least I can now see what's going on. I'll just let it dry like that, actually, tilted at an angle. The airflow may help. And I've still got that wee bit of flux there. There should be enough to do the remaining things, I think. So far, for me, the hardest thing to solder is this little IC here. The pins literally just sit on top of the pads and the pitch is finer than perhaps anything else on here. It might be equal to the CPLD, But yeah, I've had a real problem trying to get that aligned. I thought it was straight, soldered the pins, and a number of them are bridging on each side because it isn't perfectly centrally aligned. So we'll just use a bit of hot air here and just see if I can micro adjust it. But obviously I'm going to need to do that under magnification, so I'll report back in a minute. So here's the pin out of that connector there. The two grounds are on this top side here. That second pin up on the left hand side there is 5 volts VCC. Now bear in mind, if you're using the program like I am, an official Xilinx one, that's where I will connect my 5 volts and ground there to power the regulator here. Then we'll have 3.3. This will be powered, and then they should be able to communicate. But you also have a 3.3 volt sense on the programmer. If it doesn't detect that, it won't program. There's no 3.3 volt here, so I'm going to use one of these unused pins here, pin 7, second one down on the right side here, and just run a wire from the tab there to that pin. So it might not stay on there ultimately. I can remove it after I'm done, but I just need an easy way that when I connect the little pin headers there, that it's going to detect the 3.3 volts. I really wish some of these boards would have a pin header for each of those, one for 5 volts and ground somewhere, so you can program it, and then put the 3.3 volts there where the official Xilinx programmers will pick up that voltage. Now someone may suggest you could just connect it to the 5 volt and maybe that will work, but I don't think so. I think it actually checks the voltage level. I could be wrong. I might be thinking of the PIC stuff where, you know, it's over 3 point whatever, it stops it dead in its tracks. That might be the case with this, I don't know. So anyway, let's just turn up the end of this wire. And I obviously need to make the little board with the VGA things on it and stuff in a minute yet. But anyway, let's just try and do this. I might just leave this wire in place. It would just make it a bit easy to update the firmware if it ever did get updated. Or reprogram if it got corrupted, maybe. I don't know how that would happen, to be honest. Yeah, so I just need to inspect that in a minute. But if we just pull that over here, I'm not a fan of long wires on boards, to be honest, but at the very least, temporarily, I need to do something, or my programmer, what's going on with that, is not going to like it. I also have to hope that that diagram's correct and that pin does go nowhere. I mean, it's top side only, the pins on that pin header, you know, so it's not like it could be coming up via, well, it could be, actually. I don't think there's anything under there. No, there's nothing under there. So, yeah, there's nothing on the top side for that. We'll just stick it, as I say, onto the tab there. Just inspect to make sure we've got no bridges there. So programming this, the recording didn't capture. So I've covered this so many times. Check out one of the links above there if you want to see how to program a board like this. So the pin head here is the JTAG. You saw the pin out of that earlier. Thanks to Liv2, he provided that at the time, I think. You know, him and Barry and other people were building these before me, and it just helped that they, you know, gave me a bit of an insight into things there. The pin header here obviously goes to this board, which you'll see me do in a sec, I think. I've talked about this before. I have a separate cable here for my JTAG 5 volts and ground. So it was a case of, you know, wedging this in the relevant place there to feed the 5 volts and ground, and then I used this platform cable here from Xilinx. So you can see the model number of that there. So DLC 9LP, and you've got this thing here, and the cables come off, and each one of them are labelled. You've got VCC, ground, TDO, TDI, TCK, TMS. Did I miss one there? I don't know. The grey one's not used. So then it's just a case of just plugging these relevant pins. The VCC is 3.3 on this particular thing here, onto the relevant pins on here. You can also use a Raspberry Pi. Liv2's got a good guide on his GitHub page that covers how to use a Raspberry Pi to program Xilinx CPLDs. So programmed it up. That was very easy to do because obviously I did the work in advance to sort out the thing with a 3.3 volt. It worked fine. There were quite a lot of JEDs, like 10 of them. I wasn't sure which one to go for. I went for the one that's just got a plain name. Some of the other ones had W1, W2, W3, or WS1 to 4, and presumably wait states added, and a number of other prototypes and bug fixes. I don't know whether I've got the latest version, but we'll just go with that anyway. Now, if I switch this on, obviously I've tried to boot without this in to start with. The card is marked, say that goes to the back of the Amiga, this goes to the front, and hopefully, yeah, that's booted. So if I hold both buttons down on the mouse, switch it off and switch it on, that should come up with the early boot menu. I'm not sure that's what it's actually called, expansion board diagnostics. There we go. So it's picked up the two parts of that. Product ID 16 and 17, manufacturer 2167, says working. So you need an 020 or 030 for the driver, I think. So we can deal with that bit next. Obviously, I need to make the cable yet and solder the VGA connectors and things onto that PCB as well, and some caps on that. Yeah, I'm just curious as to whether it comes up as RAM that's available to the system or what. It might not do. Yeah, look, it's not doing, is it? That's interesting. So we can't test it that way. Let's get it in the ultrasonic though. Yeah, there are some minor niggles, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we'll just get these two PCBs in here and just give this a quick blast. So last minute fix for this, I had to change these two connectors. One of these I had from an old scan doubler, I think it was, one of those GBA things or whatever they're called. It arrived, smashed in the post, all the chips and things were mangled on it. But I reclaimed everything off it, including one of those, so it just happens to fit perfectly, as you can see. And then I ordered some more on eBay. Let me just show you though. There is a modification you need to do, because the exact part that's required here, the spacing is different. If you put them side by side like that, can you see there's an alignment issue? The outer rows here, you just need to, put something like that and just bend outwards, outwards from the centre, and then they fit perfectly. That new one I ordered there, they're a bit short compared to the one I reclaimed off, and they are different. You can see the blue is different, it's a different plastic, but it's the same sort of connector. But nevertheless, it went on okay, everything's through there, and yeah, there's so much of a difference. I'm going to take this other one here, and I had to replace both. It wasn't just, the problem I was having wasn't just related to one of them, both of the sockets have exactly the same problem. It started to cause, the cables I was plugging in, one or two pins, I just couldn't get it to go in at all. Yeah, I was inspecting the pins, it was making the pins splay. The kind of pins that go into these holes, they're like two pieces like that are joined together on the end to a point. And for some reason or other inside this one and the other one, and I've taken the other one to pieces, just try and work out what's wrong with it, and I can't work it out. It's almost like I think the holes in the receptacles here are just misaligned a little bit, so like the edge is catching the point of the pin going in and causing it to splay and bend and damage your cables, both on my monitor cable and my extender cable. And I've never had that problem with any other VGA adapter, and the same problems happen on both ports with different cables. So yeah, there you go. So I don't know where those came from, whether it's a cheap Chinese special, $1 a piece or something, but these I think were something like £1.50 each or something. It was like £3 I think for two. Yeah. And so yeah, if you're going to build one, maybe consider the cheap alternative versus whatever this is. Maybe this is even cheaper, I don't know. I'll ask Sparks, because I mean, did say he's not had any problems with these, so I don't know. I just find it weird that both of them have got the same sort of problem on different pins. How is that possible? The only thought I did have is that when I mounted this, maybe I soldered a bit too long, which caused the plastic channel in the inside to melt a bit, just mislining the pin. So maybe you just need to be careful about how long you heat. But anyway, I'll go show you. So everything's set up with a 500 here, but jump cut later and we'll be back to the 2000. So this is a new one, this is a new one. Here's the cable, and it's been fixed. I'll show you on macro in a minute. Where it's splaying there, I squeezed the pins together using some fine nose pliers, and I just heated the end there with a bit of solder until solder flowed across to join, firmly. Yeah, so that's good as new again. But I had to do that because of the damage this thing created. Yeah, and if I put this in here now, even though it's got that little bit of solder, just watch. No problem, it's dead easy. It's just like straight in and out, nice and firm, just as you would expect with any VGA connection. Yeah. So yeah, this one, and again I'm going to be careful here because I'll damage this again. So we put it in like that. Oh, did you hear that then? Funny noise. Oh, it's going in actually, this one now. So maybe this one's now alright, now it's off. Which could... No, it's not going in again. It's like something's catching somewhere. A pin is catching. If you go a certain way, like that way, from the right to the left, it goes in. But if you go from the left to the right like that, something's catching there. and it's probably one of these top 2 or 3 pins here. So yeah, the other one was far worse than this. The other one I could not get the cable in at all. Yeah, it was impossible. And it's not just this cable. My other monitor cables were doing the same thing. 2 of them I've had to stick a little blob on that same pin there, actually, because of that first connector. But anyway, if I show you with this now, so that's the one I did earlier. Perfect fit, nice and snug. And that's the one I've just done. Perfect fit, nice and snug. Yeah, on a Super Micro you can see the repair I had to do there. So technically you could argue that now that pin is too big, because it's got a tiny little bit, the second one on the bottom row here, it's got a tiny little bit of solder on the end. But I had to do that because even though I squashed it back together, every time I put it back in that thing, it was struggling to go in, and it was splaying every single time. And the same thing was happening on the other one, yeah? But anyway, I managed to repair that. And as I say, you can now stick it in and out of any of these, and it's straight in and out. There's no issues. That pin is not an issue. That pin was never the problem to start with. It was about the sockets. Perfect. Yeah, I know how this works now, by the way. That small connector there, you know, it's confusing me at the start. I thought these 2 went to the board. They don't. That one goes to the board. This one goes to your deinterlace card. So I'll have one of those coming up in, well, a few of those in different videos coming up, actually. 2 different videos. One's a repair, one's a build. Yeah, so you can deinterlace. If you saw the HDMI to RGB video, or RGB to HDMI rather, you'll see some of the stuff that I'm talking about in that, where I start talking about, you know, deinterlacing. Yeah, it's worth checking out the RGB to HDMI video, because I started to talk about deinterlacing a little bit of stuff in there, scan doubling in general. But yeah, you can connect another card to that connector, and it feeds the video through, and all it does, as far as I can see, is it merges, you put some resistors here, it merges from this small side here, the RGB, H and V, I think, through to here. Yeah, so the 2 are kind of overlapping at the same time. Now, if you understand how this works, and I'll show you in a minute, when we switch to the RTG mode, the Amiga, suddenly video goes off, you get a black screen. So that black screen, yeah, you've got like logic levels that indicates like next to nothing there, effectively, which means it should allow the RTG to overlay that. Yeah, it's like the 2 are merged together. I think so, because I don't see how else that would work with the 5 connections passing through. Yeah, it's got to work that way. There we go, it's not too bad. So for the cable I just took an old floppy cable and chopped it off. It's, you know, it's the sort of thing, it's easy. I can get loads of these on eBay for £1 or 2 each, so I'll order a replacement one of those so I've got a spare. But yeah, just cut the right number of pins in and just tore it all the way back. So these IDC connectors, some of them have those little extra clips that go on the top where the cable comes out here and then it wraps over that way, and then it's held on by that clip that goes on the top. So that's the first thing. And if they come clipped together with all 3 parts like this one was, you then need to obviously disconnect this here. The best way to do it is just, you know, get your nail or something in there, and you need to just lift these up over that notch there. Let's see if we can do that on camera. Oh, I'm making a mark on it. Yeah, using a flat blade is better. You can see one side's out. Do the same on that side, that's out. And then the hood comes off. So you can see all you need to do is trim your cable. Here's the one I did earlier. You can see I just cut it. It's not very straight. And you just lay it over the top. Yeah, making sure you start at the first position. Having laid it over the cable there, I used my mole grips, or you could use pliers and press, and press, and it'll pierce. You know, the wire will get pierced here by that, and you squeeze, 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 and eventually it ends up totally flat and flush with those, as each one of those pierces through the things, and then you can simply get the connector back over here. You know, get this back on like that. Press it down. And again, when you come to that point, I think I used pliers to press it a bit further, a bit further, a bit further as I went along. My nails needed cutting again. Yeah, they always do. It's one of those things on my videos. And of course, if you've got the extra hood like this one's got, an extra thing on the top, you would wrap the cable over the top like that and then stick the thing over there. And one of the cables here is a pre-made one, actually. The smaller cable is a pre-made one, so you can see, you know, where it's crimped there and, like I say, fold it up and then stick the extra clip on the top there. It just acts as a strain relief. So after installing everything, we've got everything up and running here now. And if I go into screen mode, you'll see here we've got a load of different screen modes. We've got the GBAPII 2++ modes here. So let's choose 1024x768. That's the most you can get, I think, at 8-bit. You can do 16-bit, I think. I'm not sure about PC is in the end. What does that mean? Anyway, let's just choose that one and choose Use. So at this point, the video goes off like that. You switch over to your VGA, and look at that. That's amazing. So straight away, I can see an artifact there. Problem of ghosting. Can you see there's like a band coming across? This is the cable. This is the cable. If you use, like, as I am here, cheap extension cable, yeah, that's how I'm connected to the TV. If the shielding on that is not very good and the impedance of the cable is not right, you can get those little lines. Can you see that? I'll zoom you in. Yeah, you might just be able to see them there. Maybe if I move it up and down a little bit, you can sort of see like some ghosting to the right that follows it. But that is just a cable thing. I will try at some point in a little bit connecting it directly to a VGA monitor. Well, it's a widescreen one, and it'll stretch it probably, but at least we shouldn't see this sort of thing going on here because it'll have a better cable. But yeah, I'm very impressed. It looks amazing. The other interesting thing with that I would point out is I don't think I saw that when I didn't have the resistors fitted to the little PCB there. So that could well be introducing some reflection or something. That might be what's going on there. And it's missing one of the 75 ohm resistors there, so I don't know, maybe that's something to do with it. But in general, it's absolutely amazing. You know, it's a huge desktop here, and everything's fast and fluid. You can drag things around. It runs really well. So of course, you know, any apps on here will run probably okay. Let's try sysinfo. I'm not sure, is that going to switch back to Amiga mode? Oh, it has done. So this is the thing. The apps are going to switch the screen mode. So we now need to go back to RGB to see sysinfo. You see that flickering up and down? I only noticed that when switching from the VGA back to RGB. I'm not sure why it does that. It's a bit strange. It's something on my TV. It's not the actual RTG card. Yeah, so it's interesting how it works that way, isn't it? It's the same with games. If you launched a game that's, 15 point whatever kilohertz, it would come out on the normal RGB. It wouldn't come out on the VGA there. If we quit that, see, we've got a black screen again. So now we've got to go back over to the RTG. So yeah, you need to be aware of things like that before you go down the RTG road, because ultimately it would mean perhaps, you know, without a flicker fixer, what you would need to do is have your monitor set up, you know, your RGB monitor for your games, and then have an LCD or something, or even just another RGB monitor, but a VGA one or something connected to the VGA port. And obviously your video will swap between the two screens depending on what you're doing. But if you have a deinterlace card like this one, this will be a separate video. The VGA out of here is scan doubled video, yeah, so you no longer need the RGB. Games will be output there at a resolution and frequency that is suitable for a VGA monitor. So you could feed the video output from here into there. So I need to get a cable for that, don't I? I might do that in a minute, order one. I need male pins into male pins, I think. Yes, I do. So I need a male to male video cable for that, and we could try that perhaps within this video. The nice thing there is you could just have a VGA display then. You don't need the SCART connection, you don't need the RGB connection anymore, because the deinterlace is deinterlacing the video, you know, for those 15 kilohertz modes and putting them to 31 point whatever, and merging it with the RTG output. And then in that scenario, you've got the best of both worlds. That'd just like be perfect. You know, you can get it to VGA monitor up, of which there are many available. You can get some really good deals on VGA monitors these days. And TVs like this, some of them still support VGA. So I've got the board just about on the mat here. I've brought this board back over here because I came to power it up after not using it for a few days, and no video. Yeah, none at all. I reconnected everything, no video. Reseated everything again, no video. Pressed the chips down, no video. Reseated a number of things, no video. I was like, what on earth's going on? Have I got a dead Agnes? You can see it's got a scratch on it, that from when it was badly removed in the past. But anyway, the net result is I measured voltages, 5 volts down here, because I thought maybe it's something to do with this connector. Measured up here, this is where this had a repair previously. 1.3 volts on the video DAC here. So I thought that's going to be the issue. Following this trace, it goes back here, comes under the board, and literally just comes all the way to the connector, 3rd pin, up there. So of course I just wiggled the and I tried this previously, wiggled that pin, I had a look at the board, pressed the connections there, and it just suddenly started working. So I don't know whether it's a bad solder point on here, maybe it's just tarnished that. Not sure if you can see, but the tops of these are a little bit tarnished here, so I think I'm just going to just clean these with a fiberglass pen and some deoxit. But I'm just going to resolder all of the connections there and just heat the via up there where that goes through the side, just in case there's some issue there. But we'll start with these connections here actually. Yeah, there is a chance, like I say, it's just a bit of a bad connection there. They do get a fair bit of stress, these connectors. Well, they do with the blooming Amiga kit adapter I have. You have to wrestle to get the thing off and on, so you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it was just like a micro fracture somewhere around one of those that I can't see. I'm not going overboard adding tons here. The grounds, I'm not going to do those. I'm comfortable those grounds are alright. I mean, they look really, really good, the grounds, and everything else was there. It wasn't just that one down here, if anything. Yeah, they're all grounds, and they're all grounds, so yeah, just clean that up with the con bud. I don't like it when I get mysterious things like that. It just leave me pondering what was the actual issue. There's something stuck on there, what's that? There we go. It's a bit of dirt or something, I don't know, it came off. Maybe something was bridging across that rail there. Yeah, there we go, all looks nice and clean. Yeah, so the point I want to solder here is right next to that cap. It doesn't go to that cap, it's just a via. Yeah, it's this one here where I've got the solder. So I'm going to solder from this side, I think. Just get the iron onto there, add a tiny bit of solder. There we go. Flip it over, see if we can work out where it is on the other side. It's obviously the one when we turn it upside down, it'll be the one to the right of that cap. So that cap is here. Yeah, it's this point here because that's reflowed. So I'm guessing that maybe that via got a little bit balked, maybe. Just having flowed some solder like that may have solved that. Anyway, we'll give that a clean on both sides as well, and then we'll just clean up the connector there. And of course that could be just an overflow from the original repair. When I say overflow, I mean like something that I didn't focus on, because well, I won't spoil the original repair, so link will be top right there. You can see what was wrong with that board, and it was a mystery at the time as to why I had to do that fix. So I don't know, maybe something's occurred on that power line in the past. So with these here, you can see the ends are pretty blooming oxidised. I'm not even sure if someone's like had the sandpaper on those in the past. I was going to say maybe it looked like they've been soldered in the past, but I don't think so. I think they're just a bit dirty. Of course, power connectors are a good place to get arcs and things. You know, you get a bad connection, the connection will spark a little bit as it comes and goes, and then before you know it, you start to get a dirty, unreliable connection. And yeah, obviously it's important these are really clean. This may not be the side where the swiper, you know, on the actual female part, joins. It might be on the inside, but anyway, we'll clean the other side as well a little. Yeah, so obviously this side here is a bit more problematic. We can, of course, just go like that across there. And they don't look particularly straight, do they? That one there doesn't. I've got a bit of deoxit on there. I'll just give those a gentle wipe as well. On that side you can see the dirt coming off there. There we go. Right, let's give that a try.
So the main software you need to use something like this, an RTG card, is Picasso 96. It's been renamed P96, and licenses are sold. You can actually download it from individual computers. You can see their page here, and it shows out of stock, funnily enough, and I actually had to repurchase this last week. I've had to buy 2 or 3 licenses over the last few years. I think it allows you up to 20 downloads, yeah, over a period of time. So you get updated versions, and to be fair, Picasso 96 has been updated at least once a year for the last 3 or 4 years, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a year. So I think I had about 2 or 3 different updates before I came to check last week, just prior to airing this video, and my downloads said expired. And it said I downloaded it 20 times or something. I hadn't. I had only downloaded it 3 times as the various updates came out. So there's a time expiry on your license. Just be aware of that. But it's not very expensive. It's like, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 euros or something. So I wasn't grumbling too much about repurchasing the latest update. And the latest version, as you'll see in the next video, because we haven't covered an install in this video, it comes with the driver file that you need for this card, the GBAPII 2++. It's built in from the start, if you like. So it just makes it a little bit easier to install. You'd think some of this stuff would be easy. So like, you know, the video, if you've seen it, the AJ Multifix, 2 separate videos for that. You'd think that might have been, I don't know, a few days work at most, but I spent weeks combined looking at this 2000 issues between the Rev 4 and the Rev 6. The 536, we covered a video on the Rev 4 actually, fixing the DTAC signal down here. You may have seen the video related to swapping out the buffers over there, that related to the interlace cards and the VSync thing, that was a separate video, and the RTG card here. But the bottom line is all of this stuff all coincided. So I've had to resolve these issues, the 1 or 2 things around the board, including the fault you're about to see in this video, and it just kind of made sense to separate them all. Otherwise, these 2 cards, the graphics cards, well, the interlace with the RTG card would have been like 3 hours long each or something. Anyway, I'll show you the problem with this now. We've got the AJ Multifix scan doubler, kindly from all of my patrons as a birthday, but sorted out by sparxUK, I think. So, love these 2 cards. I love the 2000 actually, despite the fact I've been hating it quite a lot recently, having to do all these fixes and things to it. Anyway, I'll show you the problem. I'll boot up. So, I'm pointing you at the VGA screen there. I've got the various bits of the drivers and things installed for the RTG card, and at the moment obviously we're VGA here, so we're using the deinterlace card. It's well worth watching both of the separate videos, the links top right. So if we go into the Picasso 96, hang on, prefs actually one, and all I'm going to do is switch to a Picasso RTG mode. Now, bear in mind, the cable's doing a pass-through here. It was actually that point in the video of the AJ Multifix where I was doing the testing of the pass-through to make sure I could just use one VGA screen and everything should work through this. So this is like normal standard definition stuff. It's not interlaced. That's when I say standard definition. It's all standard definition, but what I mean is this is not interlaced, this mode here. But I'm just going to switch to, I don't know, say 1024 by 768. Click test, and look, it's frozen. It's frozen. Yeah, all the video goes through this. So what would normally happen if we're looking at, in fact, on the RGB screen on the wall, it's black. In fact, it's not even on. Let me show you. I'll put the other screen back on. Yeah, it would normally go black on your normal RGB output, and then your VGA kicks in. But what's happening here is freezing. Yeah, normally a single mouse click would return if that mode had not worked. But if I point you at the screen on the wall, we see the same thing there. The screen is frozen, so it's not even cut off the RGB. Yeah, and you can see what I mean there. Exactly the same display. So it's just not switching modes at all. So clean the edge of the CPU card, didn't make a difference. Clean the slot here, you might just be able to see greeniness there. So yeah, just squashed it. IPA just jab in and out of the pins there. I'll do the same thing on the Zorro slot in a minute. If I close these windows down and we go into P96 prefs. Now hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, I know exactly what I need to do. But if we do test there, hey, and on the VGA screen you can see that it did cut across. Now I can show you everything on a single screen because it's in pass-through. So that's back to normal sort of deinterlaced video, not RTG output. We'll choose 800 by 600 test, and it works. Click, go back, and I'm just going to show you something. So I'm doing something off camera now. Where's it gone? Select the mode. Yeah, let's do 640 by 480 test. Watch, it's going to freeze. Oh look, same problem. And all I did then was just, I'll show you. Press the card that way. It was working. Press the card that way. It isn't. The slot is stiff, it's a fairly good slot. It's not like it's loose, it isn't. It's the hassle of hustle. Yeah, I'll stick that to the top of the screen there so you can see what I mean. Yeah, hot air solder levelling. It's these pins here. I've inspected these with magnification, and despite the fact they look nice and flat here, there's like a really micro bumpy surface to them. And obviously it's the solder. It's resistance, providing resistance. Even after cleaning these up, I found that it wasn't working earlier, and thought, you know, what's wrong with the boards? There's something wrong with this. I put it in the ultrasonic again, and you can see it looks fairly clean now, apart from one hair there. Anyway, so all I'm going to do, I think, is get a little bit of flux and use some desolder braid along here, just to level this off further, and it will remove some of the solder. Just the, you know, process of doing that. I'll do it on both sides. It's really annoying. So yeah, if you're going to get boards like this manufactured, this thing is, I learnt this from James's comment and from the experience that had led me to that point myself, the conclusion on the TF MSX video. There'll be a link top right for that. Really annoying. Right, that's one side done. So now the clean up. Right, you're on Super Macro. Not sure how well that's going to come out, but that's the side I have just done. And flipping over to the other side, hopefully you can see it's kind of, I don't know, a bit more thickness to them. And you can certainly see where the traces have marked, you know, not the traces, the connectors have sort of gouged little marks down the surface there. Might be able to see a bit better there. Yeah, so it's just marginally bumpy compared to the side we have done, which is now really flat. And don't do as I do. This is a recipe for disaster, but just pressing the board to left here, press test, it works. I'll show you this. I press it to the right, there's a word in, press test, it works. So already we've solved the problem. And you can see that there, so this is press to the right, so toggling between modes, no worries at all. Press it to the left, it's moved by about 4mm, but it works. So that was exactly the problem. So the interesting thing when cold booting this, can you see it jittering? Yeah, this only happens when I first power this on, when it's using the AGA scan doubler alongside the RTG card there. So, I'm not really sure what's causing that. It doesn't seem to be a power issue. So it's still doing it now, chitter, chitter, chitter. But just give it, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes and then suddenly it's solid. So yeah, the focus, you know, the sharpness here, it's not quite as clean and tidy. It's just, it's got a slight blurriness when it's used with the RTG card. But the RTG card on its own doesn't suffer from that, but the AGA multifix doesn't suffer from that when it's used on its own. It's only when it's used with the RTG. The other interesting thing as well, the you know, the dots, the colour speckles and all that sort of stuff. The one thing that I did notice that can reoccur over time is, if I just move this out of the way, the purple edge to these icons here with this combination. And it seems to be a voltage issue, but interestingly, it doesn't cause the issue in SuperFrog. So you do need to swap out the 244s, as I did with ST parts, if you want to resolve those speckles and things that seem to plague the Philips chips. I can't really see any purple pixels there now, but I guarantee after 20 or 30 minutes this being on, and if I wiggle the power connector on, it may come back. In fact, now it's alright at the moment. But when it occurred before, I tested SuperFrog again, and it was fine. It wasn't suffering from the same problem. So it seems like there's two independent issues there. The purple edges to some of these things here seem to be all about power supply. And when I say power supply, I mean in particular these cheap ATX adapters you get from Amiga kit. Yeah, they're just not very good connection. You know, you get a bit of a resistive connection on them, which stands true of any sort of connectors really. The fewer connectors you've got in a power chain, the better. You want it ideally going straight from your, you know, caps on your power supply straight to a connector that plugs into the board. The pass-through is working here now, so if I go into prefs, and the nice thing is with this combination, if I can get rid of the shimmering, that might be another video, is, you know, this is like the normal resolution. It'll de-interlace as well automatically, but I can just choose an RTG mode. I don't know, let's do 1024 by 768, and instead of having another screen, we just use this screen. Everything's on this screen. Yeah, click on this screen, we go out of RTG mode, back to normal mode. deinterlaced automatically. So it's a really nice combination actually of both of these cards together. And you can see there how they connect. I think it's 10 pins this. Yeah, so pin 1 at the top there to pin 1 at the top here. We removed all the jumpers that passed the video connections through. So the video connections are going out and then back. Yeah, and it's merging the video there, and that's why when you use the RTG like this is why it's a bit blurry. Actually, it's because of the impedance from the output from here. So when this is not outputting video, yeah, it's kind of like higher impedance than it would be if it was driving the signals. And likewise, it's the same when the video cuts out here when it goes into RTG mode. You know, you've got a higher impedance. There will be some output there. It's not like it's just completely floating. You get a clearer RGB, you know, VGA output from this direct, rather than when the two are sort of linked together. And obviously this cable is a factor as well. It's not shielded, it's a ribbon cable. There could be a better cable for this, you know, individually shielded wires here for the red, green, blue, H and V. Instead of a flat ribbon cable like this, just have a normal one with a shield around it and everything. But you've got to get the length quite long. You can see I had to go quite long here, and this is just long enough. I'll stick the length at the top left there. Right, lots of overlap on these videos. You've got the RTG card here, and I'm using PC Task, which is a PC emulator. Yeah, we've got a PC bridge board in here, but yeah, I thought I'd just show you that you don't necessarily need to invest in the extortionate expense of one of these to get up and run with a basic PC emulator. Benchmarking the VGA output through emulation here using the Amiga itself, you can see we're getting 2.54 times an XT, so this is definitely good enough to, you know, use this emulator to emulate an XT PC and 1.54 times on the direct video. But if we come out of that and I just change that back to use the RTG card here, and bear in mind the performance is going to vary depending on which mode you choose. I'm doing VGA, so let's go with, I don't know, 8-bit. You could argue 16-bit PC might be better, or one of these other modes, I don't know. I'll try a few of them and just see if the performance varies at all, but I don't think so. We'll just start. Yeah, so sorry about the crazy angle, it doesn't quite fit on the screen. You can see how much slower it is already. This was far, far, far quicker when the Amiga was directly emulating the video. The actual CPU performance is pretty good. You see how slow that is? Yeah, and this is the thing. So RTG, again, is not a panacea. You can think by adding an RTG card that any software you push to use those RTG modes may be faster, and it isn't. It's going to be the exact opposite. You're having to convert and push that video out to the Zorro 2 slot to the RTG card. So if we benchmark here now, I'm guessing it's going to be quite a lot slower. It might not be, I don't know, I think it will be. 847, can't believe it was before. Yeah, so now it's just above an XT, you know, and a bit above on the actual direct output. So yeah, this is the thing. I think what I need to do is find some software that maybe, I don't know, uses it in a different kind of way. Because at the moment, you see, we're using software that's just directly outputting in the same way the Amiga does to the screen modes. In theory, because you've got RAM on this card here, there might be, and I'm guessing here, I'm just guessing, there might be a way that you can, you know, the driver can actually load the textures and images and things into some of the RAM that's on the card, the video RAM, and then just send the instructions to blit it around, and then that would be lightning fast. Yeah, it'd be kind of like native, instead of it all constantly going across, you know, here's this full screen, send it across the Zorro stuff. So I think that the software using might be the thing, and it might be the drivers. I honestly don't know at this stage what I need to do to get better performance with the things I've tested so far. But yeah, I'll just continue having a play around and I'll report back. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, the resolution we need is 640 by 200, 16 colours for that. So 640 by 200. 640 by 200, 8-bit. Save. Start. Yeah, and that seems to be better in terms of having more of a natural resolution there, you know. Bear in mind, it looks like it's off the bottom a bit here, and I need to hit auto set. There we go. Oh, that's so annoying. It's like, we had it here, hang on, and then it went off. Yeah, we've got a line missing, haven't we? That's really annoying. I'm just curious to see, as we change the resolution, do we get any bad performance? Not really. That's still really, really bad. So, you know what, RTG is even slower than using the native video, which is something that you may not expect. Yeah, so you have to question, is there any benefit in RTG other than getting nice display out of it? Performance-wise, you don't really gain anything. Unless maybe whatever software you're using is optimised for RTG. I tried 1024x768, and this is the thing, you need to match the RTG resolution to the resolution the emulator's using, otherwise it just sort of outputs a little bit, it doesn't stretch it. There might be a way around that, there might be something in the RTG drivers to stretch it or something, I don't know. But the performance is terrible, you know, we're in MDA mode here, hence why it's green. So you know what, with certain things like this, I see no benefit in using RTG. And it's not that the RTG card is no good, it's about the software you use with it, how it's using the RTG mode effectively. Because there's going to be a lot of data being pushed across the Zorro data bus to that card if you're drawing directly to the screen. If you were to make use of maybe, I don't know, it's like, I'm not really sure what options you've got available with RTG. But nevertheless, the bottleneck here is Zorro. I really think it's that simple. I mean, if we switch back to MDA again and save, and we'll change it to PAL high res and start that, save again, start. You'll see here the difference using the native, you know, Amiga graphics. I think it'll be a lot quicker. I mean, it's pretty slow at booting there. It's obviously pulling in the virtual hard disk. It is quicker, definitely quicker. Hang on a minute, CD bench. And obviously using the TF536 here, I mean, that's a lot quicker. That's lightning fast compared to using RTG. And I think we're probably going to get a reasonable clock speed here, like, I don't know, as good as almost an XT, maybe 6 megahertz or so. There we go, yeah. 6 megahertz. Glenn from CRG did some experimentation with another slower 030 card a while back. So we've got not too bad performance on the CPU here, but it's not up to an XT, is it? But I mean, it's saying that performs like a 6 megahertz AT, which is interesting. And it's, you know, emulating here the NEC V20, V30, saying the CPU clock's at 17 megahertz, which doesn't reflect the actual performance. And the reason you get that sort of thing is because when it calculates clock speed here, it's using specific instructions that run really blooming quick in emulation. And then when it comes to this part here, it's doing a lot of other computational stuff with lots of different instructions in the instruction set, many of which are really struggling here, even on a fast 030. So that's the difference. And Alex explaining to Glenn, really, he was like, I don't really understand the difference. That's what it is. You get the same sort of thing affecting real hardware. You know, you benchmark a real PC, you can see a difference between these two things here as well for that reason, really. You can argue that this figure here is not very well written, but then again, it wasn't expected to be running in an emulation environment, was it? Yeah, so I've got no FPU, and the video is 220 characters per second. Not great. So I'll run check it, because that has a benchmark feature. Main system. I mean, it's saying there 220.27 megahertz. That's lies. 947. Not very good on the dry stones there. Although that might be around XT levels. In fact it is, look. 2.75 times PC XT. I actually think it's the video update that was slowing it down before, and the math speed, again, is 1.53 times an XT. So, you know, looking at that benchmark here, this is quite a good way of, you know, emulating. If you want to run some basic PC software that would run on XT, you can run it pretty well, certainly on a TF536. I mean, games and things just aren't going to run, I don't think. We could try, we don't have E, yeah, this is the thing, because, believe it or not, this is the same drive we're using, well, not the same drive, I cloned it, I just copied the file that we're using with the 286 card here, and renamed it, and then pointed this emulator at it, and it just works, it boots. I've got all the same software there that we're using with the bridge board on its virtual hard disk. Well, this has got a copy of that virtual hard disk, and it can run all the same software. Right, so this RTG video has been going on for, well, I don't know, 18 months or more. It's like every now and again I do a bit on it, get cheesed off with things, and I go and do something else. Not to suggest there's anything wrong with it, there isn't. It works really well. Performance is the thing that I've been having an issue with, and finding things to actually use it, to test it, to show you. So we've got Picasso 96 installed there, fully licensed version. I got an update to this, which I don't remember whether it's installed or not. So, hang on, let's just do a clean up here. So I'm going to update it. I spoke to Liv2 actually, and just reminded me of something I'd forgotten about. And that is, there's a no blitter parameter you can set on the tooltips for the monitor, you know, the monitor driver. Where's it gone now? RTG drivers. There it is, Picasso 96 install. So I've got the native driver, which I just found in what's it called, Amiga. But anyway, let's install this latest version of Picasso. I hope it doesn't break anything. Some of this RTG stuff, to me, feels like it's held together with sellotape, if I'm completely honest. Update and install the version. Let's just see. Might already be on the latest version, I don't know. We'll do proceed. What do you want to update? Graphics, card drivers, libraries, applications, special drivers, monitor settings. Well, let's just do proceed. Oh god, I can't remember which one it is now. I think it's that one. I think it's that one because that's installed. Or is it that one? This is where things go wrong, you see. This is why I said about held together with sellotape. You'd think it'd be like that, Picasso 2 Plus. But I've got a Piccolo SD64 monitor set there somewhere, so you know what, I'm not actually sure. Why is it not capable of detecting what's there? This is what I don't like. Let's just do that. If that doesn't work, we'll do that. Hang on a minute. Well, I don't know which one of those I've got. Retina or Visioner? Thinking about it, it's got to be that one. I don't know how I have a driver or something for Piccolo SD64. I don't know. Maybe I messed it up at some point. But then, which one of those is it? Which graphics board drivers do you want to update the drivers? I don't know. I don't know. Let's just do Retina. I think this is going to break it. There's already a settings file keep. We'll do install new. Which horizontal scan rates? Let's do proceed. Please install application drivers from the Picasso home directory. Yeah, and yet again another cryptic message. Please install application drivers from the Picasso 96 home directory or from the driver disk. But then it's saying proceed. Please install the application. What application drivers? For the Picasso home directory. A new settings file has been created. Reboot. So I honestly don't know what's going to happen now. This is the thing. Right, here we are, booted up again. This is the thing now. I'm not sure what's going to work and what's not. Let's just go into prefs. There should be a thing, shouldn't there be an icon for it? Picasso mode. You see, it says not attached now. So, what's village? Village 31. Oh, God. It's now messed everything up. This is what I hate about it. Attached, there it is. a mode which is not suitable to this board has been found. Do you want to do this mode? Just, I don't know, disable, 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 disable all. Where's this Village 31 come from? I don't know. Anyway, let's just try one of these. I think if we click on one, we can test it. So let's do 1024 by 768. I don't know why it's disabled these, because you know what? These worked previously. Let's do test. Yeah, my monitor's having an absolute seizure. Hang on. I pressed escape. Let's do test again. Yeah, my monitor is going nuts. Look, it's flickering. Let's do auto set. It's like my monitor can't lock onto that. I don't know why the monitor can't lock onto that. There's something wrong with it. You know, I'm wondering if the difference between the Visioner and the Retina is about the amount of RAM on them. This might be why it dropped a load of colour depths, because it thinks we've only got, like, I don't know, half a meg or a meg or something. So let's go to prefs again. Let's see what's going on now. In fact, we'll just go to normal prefs. Where's it gone? Screen mode. Yeah, so we've got all these things here. I'm not even sure if these are going to be right. Let's do it. Use. Yeah, so that is kind of working. I'll probably need to change the settings a little bit to get this to work properly. And this is the thing, it wasn't doing this before, so I now need to, hang on, switch it back. Right, back to PAL high res, hopefully. Yeah, so what I was trying to do here was to see if an update of that, where's it gone now? So Debs, monitors, let's see what we've got in here now. So we've got Picasso 2. This is the thing, what's this Picasso SD64? Where did that come from? That was probably me. In the previous, oh my god, we've got loads here. This is the thing, we installed that, so why have we got this? I don't know, which one of these is it using? And the thing is, we've got a GBAPII 2 Plus there, and if we look at its information, there's no tooltips. What is that? And which of these is it using? You see, that says board type. But you see, this is the no, hang on, this is a new one. Then you've got settings file, Picasso 96 settings. There's no blitter option there, is there? But is it even using that? You think not, because it's coming up with that in the name. Where's it getting that from? This is what I hate about this. It's just painful. It really is. Absolute agony trying to understand. You see, look there, GBAPII 2 Plus. So it must be using that other monitor. Do we delete this? What's that? And this is the thing, there's no hints. So like, you click on that, that's just a new item. Don't know what that is, don't know what that is, that delete. There's no options to do anything apart from come up here, setting. Why have we only got, and where does it get that from? I think it would help if it actually told you certain things like, you know, monitor driver, settings, monitor driver, you know, devs / monitors, that. So you would know that that's what that is. Is that what that is, or is that something else? Where's it getting that from? Where's it get that ID from? Is that the monitor driver? Is that, and why is there no other ones there? Cancel, hang on, how do you cancel? Look, you can't even cancel. I don't want that. I'm going to do cancel. Because you know what? This is the thing. It says it's not suitable. I bet it bleeding is. This is the thing. I bet it is. Let's do... And we'll do screen mode. This is the thing. It says that these are not suitable. So we'll do that. Let's do use. 32-bit. And oh look, it works. Yeah? Alright, the blooming alignment's off again. But it works. That's 32-bit. So it's lying. I always wanted RTG. And now I've got RTG. I don't want RTG anymore, I don't think. It's nice, but, well, it isn't. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. Performance has cheesed me off so far, and then now I've got all these issues with drivers and not really understanding what's going where.
It was on about something in here as well. It's like install the application drivers from in here. Yeah, it means for Shapeshifter and a few other things, doesn't it? That's what it means. Well, we haven't got those. We don't need those. Well, finally, I worked it out. I'll cover this stuff in the next video just so you can see it is really simple. But, well, when you've never done it before, trust me, it's like anything on the Amiga, it can be confusing. You go into Devs, Monitors, and you can see I've ended up, I'm using WinUE to show you this here. It's a virtual copy of the hard disk. I've got 2 files there. That's all you should have. You should have either PAL or NTSC, depending on your RGB desktop resolutions, yeah, and then the GBAPII 2++. You can see the icon's not quite right, but in that previous footage there, I was missing the .info file for it. It was Liv2 that pointed that out. And then as you can see here, if you look at the tooltips, you just need to set the no blitter equals yes. And I think that just disables the Amiga blitter, actually, and does stuff on the card or something like that. You know, does blitting on the card rather than the Amiga blitting anything. I think, I could be wrong. I don't fully understand what that does, but it speeds it up. So I'll launch in Doom Attack here. We get all the P96 modes here. So let's just try that. 320 by 200 8-bit. I'm not sure how that monitor's going to work with that. Yeah, the answer is nicely, actually. It's not quite as bright as I would have expected this. Let's do new game. That's not bad, is it? VGA. The TF536 is pretty good with this. I think we've got sound coming from the TV there. It's a bit quiet. Let me just turn it up. Yeah. You can't really hear it for the fan. But that's not bad, is it? I really need to connect the keyboard up so that I can do, you know, keyboard run. Oh, I can press the right button. Yeah, but then I can't open doors probably. Oh, I can. Couldn't be surprised. That's not bad, is it? Alright, it's only 320 by whatever, 200. But that's not bad. Not bad at all. Certainly better than what you would get on the stock, you know, Denise output, really. It just looks like really PC related now, doesn't it? You know, PC-ish. Because you've got that same sort of resolution, the colour depth and everything. Could be forgiven for thinking I was playing that on a PC. Nice. So in the next part, we'll fit one of these into my 4000, I think, and do a lot more testing with software and games and ports and things like that. But a quick look on the microscope here on CavCam. You can see how this first board turned out. I'll have a look at the purple one a bit more in the next video as well. Just looking at solder point there, it looks a bit weird. I think it's just extra solder. So yeah, this was the first one I built. You can see where my wire bodges there to provide 3.3 volts to the JTAG connector. Yeah, so it's turned out really well. Yeah, and you can see, you know, I did sort of flatten these hassle pins down here with braid. That was pretty essential for me. It wasn't very reliable at all until I did that. And we got some PLL stuff or something going on up here as well. You can see those 2 pins look bridged, don't they? And I think they're supposed to be. This works though, so yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, they do look bridged, don't they? I'm sure they're supposed to be. And there, I think we've just got a bit of dust or something. I don't know. Let's just use the toothbrush on that. Honestly, don't know. Kind of looks like there's a bridge between 2 pins there. Anyway, this does work, as you'll see. Well, as you have seen, and you'll see in the next video as well. Yeah, they look joined, don't they? Yeah, you might not be able to see what I can see. I just see some little thing there. Might be a bit of flux, I don't know. So, yeah, it's come out really, really, really well. So, a massive thanks to Barry, sparxUK, for sending this and for, you know, going through the trauma of getting the parts, because originally, like I say at the beginning of this video, he ordered the 5436, I think it was, which was the PCI version of this same family of IC. In theory, I suspect it could be made to work, but it might need some logic differences or something somewhere in the supporting hardware, you know, e.g. the Xilinx, and it may need a different driver, I don't know.
as I say, we're not done with the RTG stuff. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 more videos on this, and this came out well in the end as well. It's weird, the problem I had with the original connectors that Barry provided, but yeah, these have been really solid. They just don't protrude quite as much. That's the difference with these. But I mean, that should fit perfectly into the 4000, I think. And I think I'm going to go with this one in the 4000 because it's black, and I've got the Live 2 Gotta Go Faster Zorro 3 card in there. That's black, and I'm going to go with the black AGA multifix as well. Now, when I did the original one, it was a blue one, I think, the one that was gifted to me from my birthday by all the people in Discord. That was an amazing present, and this was a birthday present as well. That's the other crazy thing with this. So the 2 birthday present cards are going to go side by side in the 4000, but that'll be the next video. So I do hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next part.